I was home, I had the day off. I was just really sleepy from the anesthesia that I was given, obviously the night before. So today I just slept it off, and then at some point later on I was able to get up and start updating my medical journal. I wanted to try and record as much as I could that I could remember, and I'd also been visited by my husband, so he was able to take a few pictures of me while I was at the hospital. So just for my own memories and just for funsies, I was putting photos in my medical journal about everything that had happened. I also need to be able to remember this stuff because I'm going in for a follow-up in a few weeks, and I'll also need to be able to remember certain aspects of what had happened, so I can relay the information to my family doctor when I get around to seeing her again. So yeah, just wanted to take it easy today. I went to work yesterday, and that whole day went pretty well. As far as symptoms are concerned, I don't seem to be having very many at the moment, but the ones I do have, I'm just keeping an eye on them, because some are supposed to be expected after such a surgery, and others are just issues that I've been dealing with for a very long time. I just kind of wanted to see how they would change. So as far as like my post-surgery recovery aspect, as far as food is concerned, I'm still eating the same things, but I've just increased more of the anti-inflammatory foods and liquids at the moment, and they seem to be doing a lot to sort of relieve pressure and bloating, which has actually been an absolute nightmare for me for the past few years. So here I am making some nettle tea after having run out to do a little bit of grocery shopping and also just to get some movement in. I decided to take a break from writing for a bit to eat and have my tea, so I decided to watch the movie Mary Shelley, which I actually really liked it, considering that I'm obsessed with Mary Shelley and her friends. But yeah, I really liked it. I've just gone grocery shopping. It's been a few days since my surgery. And I guess I'm just gonna have a super quick rundown as to what happened. So basically that morning I went in to meet the specialist. The specialist happened to be an OBGYN. I'd never been to one before. Here and in the US, it's very common to have your dentist in your phone book, your family GP in your phone book, your OBGYN, your blah, 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 your blah, blah, blah. Like, it's very normal to just have access to these specialists whenever you need them. And that's totally cool. I find that to be just very different and very overwhelming, which is why I was quite overwhelmed that morning, because I was finally going to see a specialist that I had been waiting to see for a very long time. Not this particular doctor per se, but just to see somebody within the field that she happens to work in, because I'm so desperate to have this other issue that I'm dealing with, not the main issue that I've been dealing with for a few years, but this other issue that I don't really understand, to be dealt with. And I'd just been waiting, and I got so used to the idea of just waiting and just being patient that on the day of actually going in to actually see this particular specialist, it was a very overwhelming experience for me. What I didn't expect, however, I got there nice and early, filled out paperwork, everything was good. I'm just chilling in the waiting room. And then I eventually go to see the specialist, and we proceed to have a nice conversation about my history, my medical history and whatnot. And at some point, she then was about to start performing her exams on me so that we could have pretty much a pretty good sort of like basis of testing that needs to be done for everything. So pap smears, biopsies, that, you name it. Just, she wanted to cover absolutely everything. And then also to take into consideration all of my health issues that I've been having since I got here. She also had to take all of that into consideration as well. But literally the first thing she noticed was enough to be like, you're going in for surgery. This needs to be dealt with right now. It's going to be super quick. You're going to be back here in a few weeks, and then we can continue on with what we need to do. So I had, I think maybe like an hour and 45 minutes to get back home, to make phone calls, to arrange things as far as like packing my bag, letting work know and understand what's going on, doing some quick research on the surgery that I was going to be going in for, so I could have a rough idea of how long I would need to be off work. But it was a pretty quick, very minor surgery, thank goodness. So I knew I could get back to work fairly quickly. And then I needed to get myself to the hospital. So I did. I made it within 5 minutes with like 5 minutes to spare. I tried to go register, ended up in the OR, in pre-op, did more forms there, got undressed, and then I went and sat in the waiting room from about 2:30. So I arrived at the hospital for 1 o'clock, and then I was in the pre-op waiting room around 2:30, waiting to have my surgery. Now, I was considered an add-on for that day, so I didn't necessarily have an appointment, or it wasn't put through the system as this is something that's been booked from a week ago or whatever. I was an add-on for that day because the surgery I was having was so quick, it was so minor, they could basically just kind of fit me in anywhere. And so I sat there from 2:30 until 9 o'clock. And then I was taken into the operating room. I don't really know how long the surgery went. I think it was about 30 minutes. They do say the average for this particular surgery that I had is anywhere from about 30 to 60 minutes, average about 45. So like I said, it was just a super quick in, out. The doctor did come and see me about half an hour before my surgery, just to explain what the procedure was going to be. It was just going to be a case of just a super quick tie off and snip. And then they would just sort of like dig around for the root for one of my fibroids and basically have my fibroid removed. The fibroid that I had was in a state of both dying and trying to survive. And it would just go through these weird rapid cycles where it was like, it would get this new lease of iron because I go in for my iron treatments every month. So then my body was producing blood. And then this fibroid would just be soaking up all the blood, like, yes, new blood. And then it would be like, oh no, wait, I'm supposed to be dying. So then it would start going through like this weird necrotic phase. And it was just this cycle that just kept repeating over and over. And it got to the point where basically my uterus just got so confused by not just that main fibroid, but a bunch of others, that it just caused major issues. So I have been living in hell for the past, I want to say for the past 3, almost 4 years, because it really did kick off September, October 2019. But then when I actually think back to pre-Canada, I'd been dealing with a lot of these issues going as far back as maybe 2017. So 2017 until now, that's how long my body has changed. My hormones have been crazy. I've just been so incredibly sick and under the weather. And the entire time, I've kind of just downplayed it. It was very strange, and there was like an emotional moment that I had at the office when I went to see my specialist that morning, when she did ask, like, why didn't you ever go to a doctor when you were in the UK? Like, why didn't you ever, like, put your health first? And I was like, because I worked crazy hours. I worked shifts at the time. Like, I had to commute to a different part of the country, and it was like work started at 6 and then morning GP. So there was all these reasons. And I didn't want to be seen as like a letdown at work. And I didn't want to be seen as someone who's just so sick all the time that they always have to keep taking time off to go and see the doctor in the morning and blah, blah, blah. So I didn't want to ever seem like a bad employee, which unfortunately that's what I am now, because of how sick I am. So I just kept foregoing my healthcare for the sake of the people that I worked with, because I didn't want them to have to feel like they were constantly in the lurch. Whereas now that's basically what's happening. And as nice as people are trying to say like, oh, it doesn't really affect us, it does. And it's very obvious. But I'm very glad that I'm now in a position where I'm actually able to finally put my health first and put myself first and start going through this health journey the way that I'm supposed to. And I'm also really glad that my body is finally responding very quickly and in a very positive manner. The aim is to get myself into a position where I'm healthy enough that I won't need to go back for any of these routine checkups on my whole body, as well as everything from like my diaphragm down that often. The idea is to maybe just go see my specialist like once a year and then just have a quick checkup and I'm good. That is the wish. That is the plan. I don't know if that's actually going to happen because I do have other tumors that are growing quite rapidly, and there's a lot of them from what I've been told from the scans I had recently. There are a lot, and I know that I will have to go back in for at least one other surgery to have most, if not all of them, completely removed. And at the same time, I'm also kind of getting more used to the fact and the idea that if it is that bad, that the surgeon has to remove the entirety of my uterus. As crazy as it is, I'm sort of learning to be okay with that. That's how bad my health is. I've been in denial about my health and my body being this sick for so long because, I don't know, you just kind of grow up in a society where if something is wrong, especially if it's women's health, you're just told that it's nothing. You're fine. You'll get over it. It's just a fluke. It's just a virus. It's just this. It's just that. So you kind of just play it off and play it off and play it off and play it off. And at this particular point in time, it's like, I genuinely don't know what's wrong with me, but it's good to know that specialists have turned around to me and said, oh no, your health isn't bad. It's horrendously, like, terribly bad. Like, you shouldn't be dealing with this. Like, how are you standing upright? Like, when it gets to that sort of level where doctors are literally looking at me with pure shock in their eyes, it's like, okay, so I'm being validated. But at the same time, it's like I'm also actively not validating myself. So it's actually really nice to be in a position where I finally have someone, or a group of people actually, telling me that it's okay, that everything that I have been feeling isn't just in my head. I'm not just being silly or over the top. There is a lot that is really, really wrong with me, and it's gonna be okay. Hopefully. It's just nice to know when people actually stop and turn around and tell you that not only do they believe you, but they're gonna support you and they're gonna help you. It's very isolating, it's very lonely to be in this sort of a position because, you know, our culture basically just teaches everybody not to give a crap. But it's so much harder when it's like, I wish, I wish there was a bit more support, but there isn't gonna be, and it just is what it is. But I'm just happy that I'm finally on the mend of sorts. As far as this particular surgery, at least my first surgery went, the surgery itself, I have no idea. I was asleep, and I woke up after the surgery, and all I wanted was sushi and pizza. And when I was up in the ICU, because no one really knew what to do with me. It was really late. So they were like, it's really late. Do we just take her to the ICU? And I'm just like, I don't know. I'm high. One of the nurses, he was really great. He came back with like a bunch of food and was like, you need to eat. You need to pee. You need to move around so that we know that you're functioning. And I saw these 2 cups on the table. I genuinely thought that they were jello. I didn't read them. I didn't know what they were. I thought they were jello. I was so excited. And then I opened them and I was like, this is apple juice. So I was happy for the apple juice because I didn't realize it had been years since I had apple juice. But I really wanted jello and I felt really bad. So I was like, okay, whatever. It's cool. I have apple juice. It's great. So I had that. I still haven't had any jello since. And it has been a few days. I haven't had any sushi. And that's okay. I'm actually okay with that. So I've got my sparkling water over there and I'm trying out that Black River I think I got tart cherry or pomegranate. I think it's the pomegranate I got. I can't even remember. So I'm trying those. Those are my treats for today. And I have a few Oreos. So I'm feeling bougie. I'm treating myself this week. I just went for a nice brisk walk. I was going to film, but it's just way too cold out there. I think my phone would have like frozen. So didn't do that. But yeah, like the whole experience was so quick. It was, I don't know, I kind of understand now that I should look at that surgery like it was like me getting my nails done. Like I go in, I get my nails done, I go home, I'm good. So it's, that's basically what it's supposed to be. I go in, I have my surgery, I go home. I did go crazy because the TV was really annoying. It was playing the same 3 stories over and over and over again on the local news station. Oh my God, it was so annoying. So it's just, that was the only thing, just sitting in the waiting room for so many hours with no phone, no book, nothing to entertain myself or to take myself away from the local news station. Other than that, it was good. It was 10 out of 10. Would do it again. And I don't mind next time. But if it is possible for me to have my next set of surgeries sooner rather than later, I would like that. So, like I said, I'm going to be going back to see my specialist in a few weeks. And then hopefully with both her as well as my family practitioner, I'll be able to discuss a bit more in depth about the imaging that I had done a month ago. So here's to happy health and stuff. Yeah. I'm really thirsty. Okay. Bye. Between the 28th of February and the 2nd of March, I managed to get my hands on 2 brand new books, The Nature of Middle-earth by J.R.R. Tolkien and Unmasking Autism by Devon. This particular book, I'd been dying to get my hands on it for a while because I want to understand more what it means for someone with autism to mask on a daily basis. So masking their stims and how they cope with the world and how they process the world and whatnot. So for me as someone who's neurotypical, I just want to be able to understand what some day-to-day experiences are like for individuals who have to mask all the time. I've also found over the last few months that I'm just finding less and less time to get creative, to sit and write in my journal, to catch up with myself, to take notes when I'm out and about. So I had to sort of come up with a way to combat that. So I decided to pick up a new lined insert for my passport-sized navy Midori traveler's notebook so that I can take notes and write things down as I go. So hopefully that will work as coming months go by. I was also finally able to get down to the beach, which was quite nice. I know it probably doesn't seem like very much to other people, but for me, this is a really big deal. Being able to go through this change and to start making my body feel better and move better, and also be in a position where I'm actually going to be able to live life far better is a huge deal to me, because it means that I'm getting closer and closer to what it feels like to feel normal. The more I sit and think about my medical history as I'm writing it down in my medical journal, the more I'm starting to realize that I have put up with some incredibly annoying and bothersome symptoms for a very long time. And at the age that I am, I shouldn't be dealing with these. These are things that I expect from much older patients that I used to look after. So it's nice to know that I no longer have to see any of these issues as normal, and I can start making the right choices and making the right moves in the right direction. So I guess that's all for now. Here's to the future and whatever that might hold. Thanks for watching.